I'm going to tie in as many podcasters as I watch on this live stream as I possibly can. Who knows who I just imitated with the sipping on the cup?
I have no idea.
There's an art to that. There is an art to doing the sip on the cup. Okay, first person to recognize who I'm imitating with the sipping cup gets a free mug mailed to your house.
Oh, wow.
Generally irritable mug.
That's a big deal.
House, right?
What do you think things going for on the open market right about now?
Look at that. Look at that. These go for about $20 right now.
Man.
Because when you order small batches, they're really expensive. So this is generally irritable. And then it's got me with the eagle logo on the front here. Right here. See that? So the first person to comment below who I was imitating with the slurping of my cup, you win a free generally irritable mug. So that's one podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
Should I bring up there's another obvious one. Should I tell them what it is?
I think you should let people get a chance to do it themselves.
We're going to tag everyone in this podcast, and hopefully maybe we'll get some national attention, you guys. I'm really excited to have my sweet, sweet, loving husband, Benjamin, joining me this evening. And hey, Barb. Hello, Morningstar. What's going on? Benjamin's here with me today. We're going to be talking about the campaign, some of the things we've learned over the last year. Benjamin, your job is to help keep me focused because I'm going to go down so many rabbit trails, you guys. Like, I'm just letting you know right from the beginning that this show, we might go down some rabbit trails. So we've got some idea of some things we want to cover, but it's also ask me anything, you guys. If you have a question about the campaign or anything that you wondered about going on, just throw it in the chat. Just ask. We'll answer. And happy to do it. You guys, it's not even a week since election day. And already, right, like a couple weeks before the election, we find out Liam admits he cheated to gain favor for the primary and all this kind of stuff, right? And so we find that out. We already knew that he lied being on the Republican ballot. And then it's not even a week after election day, and the FTX billionaire that donated $1 million to Becca Balance campaign under investigation for fraud. And that money is basically been, I don't know what the right word to use is, but basically he took the money that was given to be invested into this crypto bank or whatever and turned around and funneled it to Democrat campaigns.
I thought the story said that he took the money, it went to Ukraine, and then Ukraine.
So that's a whole other, that's the next layer, right?
Oh,
so there's like layers to this. What we know for sure is that FTX is a scam and they're going down. So I've got Liberal Hive Mind video queued up for where he goes through it. That's podcaster number 2 that's going to get mentioned today that we watch sometimes. Liberal Hive Mind is an interesting one. Sometimes he's got breaking news and it's really interesting and it's cool. Sometimes it's very salacious and it's like, oh, so-and-so wrecked, blah, blah. And you're just like, okay, this is very lame. So just for the record, this is one of those places that you can find some interesting information.
Well, the deal is that whenever you're watching any of these people that are, there really aren't any news outlets in truth anymore, really. But whenever you're watching these people who are giving you information, typically speaking, they are pundits and they have an angle.
Right.
So you have to listen critically. Just like when you're in school and your teacher made you read critically.
Right.
You have to listen critically, understanding the leanings of the people you're listening to, and then kind of make your judgments from there.
Right, exactly. And that's one of the things that, I like to get information from all sides of the aisle. Like who's the chick on the Hill? There's a chick on from the Hill who's a total lefty, but she actually can articulate why she believes what she believes or why she endorses the position that she endorses. And so it's like, okay, well, now I understand what the argument is. I see the value that you're speaking from and this goal that you're trying to attain. Okay, well, I think we can do that same thing that you just said, only better without the government.
Yes.
Right. So that's so like I like to watch some of those to better understand my own argument.
That makes sense. I think if you're going to be convincing to people, you have to understand what they value, what matters to them, what value are they trying to express through whatever it is they're trying to get done. And if you can do that, you can have some really good conversations with people, and you can actually find middle ground as opposed to just arguing with everybody all day long, which is not really all that fruitful. So
yeah. And so I guess there has been some reporting. Sue says, love Lord Benjamin. I love him too. Isn't he fabulous?
Love you too. Thank you.
So there has been some reporting that now this has not been verified. So anybody who's watching, YouTube fact checkers, this is alleged, but this is out in the news. I can actually share the links. Baby, did I email or did I text those to you? Can you put those in the chat? I'm trying to remember which ones I sent to you, or I'll have you take over the show and talk for a minute and I can post them in the chat. But a bunch of stuff has been coming out. And it looks like Ukraine has taken some of the money that, well, let's just put it this way. Ukraine has invested money in FTX. So whether it was the money they got from the United States or wherever the money came from, apparently, allegedly, Ukraine has invested some money in FTX. And so the allegation is basically we laundered money through Ukraine into Democrat candidate coffers. Because then FTX goes and spends $40 million on Democrat campaigns. So that is what is alleged in the stories. So, yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, but I want there to be some good, positive, fun stuff too. We learned a lot. We had a lot of fun. I met a lot of really awesome people, and I want to get to share some of that stuff and keep some of that moving forward. So, previously, a lot of my episodes on Generally Irritable were about things that are wrong or going wrong or suck or bad or need to be improved. And what I want to make sure we're doing is also highlighting the organizations that are doing things well, that are making a difference, that are improving their community. So, getting to do episodes on Sleep in Heavenly Peace, on Jenna's Promise, getting to do like mini documentaries on those organizations, basically getting to go with them and be part of what they're doing and get to see those things. Another Josh's House is another one, the Josh Paletta Fund, which is a veterans organization. There's so many of these organizations that do amazing work and people have no idea that they exist. And what an honor it has been to be invited into their circle and to see this stuff. Deaf Vermonters Advocacy Services was another one that was really awesome. Man, the debate for Vermont Center for Independent Living, what an eye-opening experience. Like, really, I mean, you guys, so many of these nonprofit organizations, I believe that Republicans and libertarians, those of us who are sort of who are right of center, we've just sort of said, you know what, they're not our people. Benjamin, how many times did I tell you this last year that I got told not to bother going to an event?
Many times.
Oh, why are you going to that? Those aren't our people.
Yeah. I mean, I can think of at least probably 6 or 7 that I can remember.
And so I go there and I'm talking and I'm listening to what the questions are. And you're listening to the questions, and then I'm listening to the answers of the other candidates. And I'm going, oh, that's not better. Like, your answer is for to help these people who have legitimate needs, who are, vulnerable people. And I believe we do have a duty to help, the widows and orphans, as it says in the Bible. And so I think that we do have a duty to help people, but what all of their answers, the Democrats, all their answers were more government dependency, right? So,
Yeah.
like, oh, I've got a kid who's deaf or blind or has a learning disability, and the public school system needs to figure out and change itself to accommodate my one child who has a totally different need set. And I'm going, hold on a second. What if we had universal school vouchers, and you got a kid who's got some special circumstance that they need extra help with, and now you can take the $20,000 that we invest in each public school student and use it to homeschool or put them in a private school or get tutors or whatever you need. What kind of difference would that make to your family? If you $20,000 a year is like half of someone's salary. That alone could help a family, may help mom or dad stay home and homeschool the kids. That's a way better solution than create an additional government bureaucracy that needs all of the salaries and pensions and all this other stuff. Like, we have the better solutions, you guys. I mean, we just have the better solutions. Okay, Benjamin, you got to keep it. I'm preaching. I'm going to start doing sermons.
I don't
Okay.
think I needed to interrupt that. That made a bunch of sense.
You might need to, I might be going on rants. Okay. Okay. Barb says, if you could change one thing about your approach, what would it have been? Oh, good question. Well, Ben, I have one thing that I know of right off the top of my head, Benjamin. What do you think? Do you have an idea?
There were certain things I would have been more aggressive with during the campaign had I known how people were actually operating behind the scenes. You like to what is it? I like to attribute most things to ignorance rather than malice. That's Hanlon's razor. So I tried to give people the benefit of the doubt at least once or twice, and I can see how there are certain people who were making certain moves that were unscrupulous, and just to find out later on, like, oh, that wasn't an honest mistake. You're really trying to do something underhanded.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
I would have handled that differently, and probably just would have thrown more media out there. That would have been a lot more fun, more aggressive with the commercials. I was trying to play. We were playing nice. We were told to play nice. We tried to play relatively nice.
Yeah.
We weren't able to do that anymore.
Well, and being relatively unknown in a statewide race, right? Like, Chittenden County knows me better than the rest of the state. And and right now we're still sort of at the will of the media. And so if I run out there and I'm like throwing haymakers, being like, screw you, then I'm not going to get the attention from the press that I need. But as it turned out, playing nice didn't get me the press that I needed. So, so I don't know, maybe we could have struck a better balance of nice and
I think a lot of people wanted to hear you come out or hear conservatives come out and, be the anger, right?
Swinging. Yeah.
Come out swinging. And I'm like, I completely understand why you would feel that way, considering the way the media and the government in Vermont is treating people.
Yeah.
The issue that we've run into is, I would say, great, show me how important that is. You can show me two things. We learned this a long time ago when I was in business. Show me your checkbook and your calendar. So in reference to our constituents, show me how much money you donated and how many events you signed to volunteer for. Not just show up and attend.
And that's it.
So if you have energy like that, like the other side has, you can say whatever you want to. You can be as free and cavalier as you have to be. But if we're in a scenario where we're getting outvoted 2-1, like I don't know if people understand what that means from a strategy perspective. As a general, right? If I know I have 2-1 as far as like soldiers on my team, I could put people in your primary and have them mess up your primary and still have enough to take care of business at home.
Well, and that's the thing is, if we had had a normal campaign, if it had been a normal year and we hadn't had some dippity doo dah day pull a little scheme and screw up the process, it would have been different. And so this is Benjamin. You got to keep me from going into bitterness, right? You guys, because
Okay.
I'm just going to be really frank with you guys. I'm still very frustrated. I'm still processing it. And I'm not trying to run around and tell everybody about how mad I am all the time, but there is a great deal of frustration because I am not involved in politics. I didn't run this race because I want attention or because it's like super fun or whatever. I ran because I feel a duty to help save my country from going off of a cliff. No one else was willing to run. No one else was going to be about it. Nobody else even wanted to try. And I said, we cannot pass this opportunity up. We need to have people in all of these statewide races who are willing to be an example and willing to help uplift all of the other statewide candidates.
I think there's a part to add in here to so anyone who doesn't understand what happened. Erica was talking about running and winning a seat before it was being vacated. A lot of people got energized when they heard that he wasn't going to run again,
Right.
that he was going to retire. We were having conversations about what to do to win the seat before that was announced. So we were like, okay, this is still winnable with the right strategy, technique, and energy. So we were having these conversations way before probably many of our constituents who talked about it recently had any interest in even possibly running for the House.
Well, and one of the first things that I said in our very first volunteer meeting was I want the love and heart of Jesus Christ to be what comes through in this campaign. I want people to really see how much conservatives really love and care for their neighbors, their state and their country.
Mm.
And you don't get to show that heart by being angry and cussing people out. And so, while they may deserve to be cussed out, my public appearances were not for the press.
Yeah.
It was for all of the disenfranchised people who are so sick and tired of all of the salaciousness and the bull crap. They don't trust people anymore. They don't trust the press. They don't trust their elected officials. And so my goal was really to just try, not even to just have a campaign, but to be to start a movement, to encourage people into self-governance, to help them understand why it's important, why voting matters, why paying attention to these things matter. I mean, God, like if nobody's paying attention, they don't know that Becca Ballant's campaign was bought and paid for by lobbyists' money.
Well, the way people voted, even in the primaries, lets you know. You already know the way they voted in the primaries that people were not engaged in politics enough. And I understand it takes a lot to focus on stuff, especially when it's negative a lot of times. It's hard to want to drill in and dig into the details all the time. I can understand that. People weren't plugged into all that. And so they just voted for, we heard plenty of people say why they voted the way they did. And it was just evidence of, oh, you didn't even really know who was running. I mean, even if you think about it, if Anya Tino had outperformed you, that at least would have been respectable because she's been a member of the party and she's been serving in
Yeah.
positions and she's engaged this
Oh, yeah.
entire time. So
Yeah,
for
Anya won.
wait, so for a person who isn't part of the party, and here's the thing, we can say whatever we want to say about Liam. We can say whatever we want to say about the Democrat machine, the progressive machine. It's not their fault.
Mm.
It's not their fault. They have nothing to do with whether or not people who are card-carrying members of the Republican Party know what is happening inside of the party and or donate to the party and or vote in a primary and even know who they're voting for. We cannot be mature adults and blame the other side for using here's an effective strategy. Like it doesn't matter because they're not going to not do it. So the only thing you can do is have a counter strategy that is just as effective.
Well, and apparently, and this is the thing, this is what's so important. Apparently, Liam was sending out, allegedly, getting email lists and advertising himself to people, but not telling them, again, I'm not a Republican. I'm not going to be a Republican. I don't care about Republican values. The R means nothing. I think abortion up to the point of 6 months is great. Like, he really ran a dishonest campaign. And if you just went to his landing page, oh, he's a family man, he was in the military, oh, I'm a strong, independent man, whatever.
Correct.
If you don't look deep in and you don't see the liquid democracy crap and the sexual energy on plants experiments that you and I paid for, thank you very much, you don't know that this guy isn't one of you. And so he really relied on people being, and I'm not saying that there aren't people who knew full well who Liam was and what he was doing and voted anyway.
Some people like sexual energy on plants, baby. Some people are just into that. They don't want a solid foundation for the democracy. They want a liquid democracy which changes with the tides.
Yeah, there are plenty of people who think of themselves as Republicans and then want to do away with all of the institutions of this country, like due process.
Yes. So again, but at the end of the day, he's a politician.
Yeah. And I think
if you're assuming that because someone has the R behind their name, that they're for you and your values, I don't know how you could believe that in Vermont, considering the political climate that you're in. Again, you can't do that. So no matter, people, you guys know me well enough to know the facts. I will analyze what happens. We'll talk about what people did that may have been scrupulous or unscrupulous. Yeah. But they're politicians, so I've learned don't assume that they're going to play by the rules anyways.
Well, and that's
at the end of the day, it's down to you.
Bringing it back to Barb's question, what would you do differently? What I think we're saying here is I would have taken Liam more seriously as a formidable candidate. I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, but I really did not anticipate how uneducated the voter base is. I really didn't. I really did not understand the extent to which people did not educate themselves about who these candidates are, what they believe, and what they're pushing for.
Because also the numbers, when I saw the votes, I was reading some things on the pages about like how people performed. And, Becca performed as well as typically the progressives typically do, progressives and Democrats. And Liam honestly performed about the same as any Republican who's got an R behind his name and he runs.
I'm going to disagree with your assessment.
Okay, so what was last year?
So yes and no. So Becca got less votes than the Democrat normally gets in one of these federal races. Normally it's at least 80,000. She got 175.
Okay.
We had more blank votes, I think, than ever.
Okay.
There were more.
Okay, I checked the numbers before, I guess, the final count.
They were about right. So she wasn't far off, but she was definitely lower than normal. Many more blank votes, many more write-ins, and then Liam only got about 20, upper 20 percentile, but that's how a Republican normally performs. other Republicans on the ballot this
Mhm.
year, generic Republicans like Mike Tagliavia, love Mike. He's awesome. So this is not a cut on him, but we put him on the ballot after the primary. He's never ran for office before. He got over 30%, 33% or something like that. So the generic Republican on the statewide ballots got about 33%, which is about 5% more than normal.
Okay.
So Republicans, while we still lost, did better than normal. It just wasn't enough to overtake it. But
Well,
and then I got more than any libertarian previously.
the point I was making in reference to that,
Okay.
because apparently when I looked at the numbers, it was like 70 and 78. It was something closer. And so the point is, some of the things I saw were talking about the race. We're saying, Liam, look at how many votes he got. This is evidence that people are ripe for a change in Vermont. And I'm going, that I don't know how you determine that from the numbers.
You have no idea how many people actually voted for Liam Madden, knowing that he is a left-leaning independent. He's a lefty. So he will never know how many people actually voted for him because they actually liked him and his policies versus that he was the R on the ballot. Or he's not as bad as Becca and nobody will take the Libertarian Party seriously. So I'm just going to vote because he's the lesser of two evils.
Correct.
So, like, he will never know how many people actually voted for him. And I think it is unwise to surmise from that it's because he earned those votes. That is far from the truth. Considering how many people told me how many people asked me if I knew how they could change their vote in the last couple of weeks after finding out that Liam wasn't really a Republican and that he cheated. That's why we don't vote early, ladies and gentlemen. This is why universal mail-in ballots and early voting for, 6 weeks before election day is a stupid idea. It is stupid. I'm sorry. I don't care what anybody says. I know I'm not supposed to talk like that and call things stupid, but universal mail-in ballots are stupid.
And so Welch in 18 got 188. Anya got 70. Welch in 2020 got 238. Miriam got 95. Becca got 175. Liam got 78. I was looking at the 18 numbers when I was comparing.
So that is, yeah, and that makes sense because that's midterms, right? Like 2020, there's always a higher vote turnout.
Yeah.
Because it's a presidential year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't, when I saw the numbers, like, he didn't outperform like that. People are perceiving, it's really interesting when you start getting into politics, how people are parsing the numbers.
Yeah.
It's just,
no, they're making it mean whatever they want.
Yeah. Cool. So, moving along.
Anyway.
You have questions here. There's a lot of questions and comments here.
Oh, there is? Anybody? Remember, you guys, send me some questions. And any questions you want. Oh, interesting. So Miss Ballant has a criminal record as well, eh? That's interesting. Expungement. I'm curious where did you hear that? How do you know about that? Where did you get that from? Let's see. Join me at Mercy Connections. I'm emailing you. Okay, I don't even know. I've heard of Mercy Connections. What is that? Let's give it a highlight. Barb says Republicans did not get out and vote. They did not put their ballot where their mouth is. That is correct, Miss Grech. You are correct. And yes, abortion was a major issue. Abortion was a huge, huge issue. They made it a huge issue. And then, of course, we had Article 22. So basically, unless you were like shouting your abortion from the rooftops, people didn't want to vote for you.
Yeah. And just so people understand what Erica was making a comment about the primary, the final, because I'm looking at, it's on Wikipedia. This is weird, baby. You're on Wikipedia now. He had 10,000 votes. Erica had 8,255. And Anya had 6,908.
Yeah.
So again, with a
if
little bit of strategy, that would have resolved half the problems that we had today.
Well, and this is the thing, you had the Democrats fall in line when it was very clear who was doing better. The lower tier candidates, and I don't mean that as far as competency or anything, just the lesser known candidates withdrew from the race
Yeah.
and endorsed other candidates. And so this idea that, you guys, the good thing and the bad thing about people who identify as Republicans and libertarians is that we're all incessantly annoying and and independent, right? Because everybody thinks they know what's right. I mean, you guys, anybody who watched my video about our experience at the border in Del Rio, I had a supporter call me up and tell me that they were going to look at voting for another candidate because of how mad they were that I said that the border wall was a waste of money.
Well, to be specific, that the border wall is not effective when coupled with current policy by itself. It cannot stop someone from getting into the interior when the border wall is on the interior.
And like,
that's a fact. That's not even
there might be some areas where it makes sense. Okay. Like El Paso put up a wall and it did cut gang violence and crime and stuff like that. But in Del Rio, where there's an opening every 25 yards for somebody's fucking driveway. For somebody's driveway, then it is pointless. It is pointless and stupid.
But that's not the issue. In Del Rio, if you look at the diagram that we showed you I put text on the video so it's very clear. You have, this is Texas and this is Mexico. You have Mexico, Rio Grande, Texas, somebody's house, somebody's street, somebody else's grass.
You're already in the United States.
And then a border wall. You understand what I'm saying?
Not a border wall.
The wall
in chain link fence.
Well, the point is the wall in certain sections of Del Rio is inside of the United States, and there's you're already here. You're already here because but there's parts that are fence. Yeah, there's a part that is down there near to the border where it's actually closer to it's actually on the border, but like where we were at, which was probably a 5 or 10 minute drive in. You can I could cross into Mexico with absolutely no problem whatsoever. No special gear. I could just walk across the water and swim a little bit, and in probably 3 minutes I could be in Mexico. That's how easy it is.
Literally. I could swim it, and I can't even swim. It's embarrassing, but I can't.
Yeah, like we reported something different, but it was that was the truth in that area. It was not effective, and the locals said it wasn't effective. They told us it wasn't effective, and they're conservatives.
The people that live there, who are also Mexican,
Hispanic,
of Mexican descent,
loving conservative. Some of them ex-military conservatives told us pointless.
Liberals, Biden voters. Trump voters, all across the board, everyone said the same thing. Didn't matter. The people from that town were like, this is dumb. Here's some stuff that's effective. I regret voting for Joe Biden. Yes. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I just wanted the mean tweets to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had such a good lesson there. Oh my God. It was really good information. I totally digress though. What was I talking about that for?
We're going to bring that around. The reason that that's important, and we had a conversation where a supporter was upset by that. We're telling you the truth so that we can make better strategy. You cannot have a solid.
That was my point. Everybody's so independent.
You can't have a solid or effective strategy if you don't even know what's going on. Like even if you're going to lie to people, i.e., I don't know, like one of the doctors did when the pandemic started, and he wanted to make sure that we didn't buy up all the masks, so he told us a lie. He had to know the truth to know what lie to tell to be effective. See what I'm saying? I don't want to say anything. I don't know if we're going to get kicked off.
I don't know.
Internet for
saying certain things. We got lied to.
He lied on television about what if we should use masks or not, according to him. And he told us, I told y'all that to make sure you didn't buy up all the masks, so we had enough for our critical workers. So he knew the truth was, told a lie to try to get the kind of results that he wanted. Even if you're going to do deception, you have to know what the truth is to do an effective deception.
So now I remember the reason why I brought that up was the fact that people who are right of center are typically very independent, very strong-willed. We all have different varying opinions on a scale for a lot of this stuff, social issues, financial issues, and things like that. And what I have found is that people who are right of center, their purity test is actually much more rigorous than people on the left. Correct. So Democrats will fall in line and they will cooperate with one another, even if they don't really like the whole package, because they're so much more focused on the good of the unit, right? They're more concerned about Democrats as a whole and moving their agenda forward. Republicans are so obsessed with individualism and believing whatever they're believing and standing on their morals that they will cut off their nose to spite their face. So, as an example, when people are saying I'm pro-abortion because I'm trying to have conversations with people who are pro-choice and start to just persuade them over to our side, right? So because I'm not up there being like, we need to ban abortion right now, that means I'm pro-abortion, and therefore those people refused to vote for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys, we allow abortion up to the point of birth in this state, okay? Why don't we just start by asking for equal access to parenthood and abortions? Right now, we give $1.5 million to abortion clinics and $0.50 to pregnancy resource centers and organizations who help women who want to keep their babies.
Like Aspire Women's Clinic.
Right. I want a level playing field. I want fairness. Can we ask for that? Yeah. And without fail, every pro-choice person I talked to said, yes, I think that's reasonable. That makes total sense. Right. And so if we can move all of these pro-choice people off the needle by being reasonable, we start to move things.
Wait, okay. This is like a sales technique, right? So when you do like bigger sales, you don't close everything in one meeting. It's not how that works.
Right.
It's 3 to 8 touches, right, to close a legitimate deal. Moreover, part of the sales process is getting people to say yes. So it's like, hey, you care about America, right? Yeah, you care about family. Yeah, you get them to start to say yes to things. You don't go from, you are completely diametrically opposed to my stance, let's move you 180 degrees in the other direction.
Let's talk about why the Bible is an authority.
When you're not Christians and you don't, we just disagree on when life begins. Like, that's a hard sell, right? And so the problem is that is like, even when even if you're going to go Bible, progressive sanctification is a process. It is not all or nothing in one pitch, and it is not typically pure hellfire and brimstone. Very difficult ways to get people to come to see your side when you're telling them that they're evil and terrible. It is about as likely as a Democrat or progressive yelling at you and converting you to their side.
Who has ever been persuaded in a meaningful way, a lasting way, when guilt and shame is the method for the conversion? When does that work?
There's a lyric to a song right now that is, hold on, I gotta see, make sure I don't mess this up.
Robert says, thank you for running, Erica. Benjamin, thank you for the behind the scenes support. Thank you,
it's
Robert.
My pleasure. I love watching this stuff because, again, we had a conversation with some more constituents, which is I learned a lot about the conservatives in Vermont. I said, this is marketing. And he was vehemently telling me that I was wrong about politics. I said, literally, the whole thing is marketing. You have to get in front of people. You have to get them to like you. It's sales.
Yeah.
Now you have supposed to have morals and principles and some actual
Obviously.
foundations, obviously, but like it is sales. And if you
And
think
that's
it's not
and that's
sales, if you don't think it's sales, you're going to lose.
and that's the thing that is so frustrating about doing this stuff is like, okay, you guys, I understand you're on your morals and your values and I get it. Like, but you running around telling people that I'm pro-abortion. Well, for maybe that would get some Democrats to vote for me. I don't know. But you running around like spoiling me to Republicans basically ensures that the person who wants abortion up to the point of birth gets elected. That's why it's like, okay, you say you're on your moral high ground, and yet that moral high ground ensures that Becca Ballant gets elected.
It's a simple thing when we talk about discipline. I learned the definition of discipline from my business mentors was they said it is doing what is most important when it comes to getting what you want, right? That means if I'm talking to Erica, right, and we get into an argument and I want our relationship to work, what I want in the moment is to yell and be mad. Discipline says that's not effective at a functioning communication of a relationship. So you can't do that.
Right.
The disciplined approach is not to yell and to have a good conversation. And so that's the issue that I'm watching with a lot of people. Like, there's this thing you want that's over here. That's step 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
You're still on step 1. You have to make the moves to get you from 0 to step 1. Then you can make moves that are more aggressive towards step 2, 3, and 4. But you can't start off that way all the time. Now, if it's something really ridiculous, there's opportunity sometimes for that to be a little bit different. But
yeah,
right now, as we've seen politically speaking, we need to just get people to understand that maybe up to, a baby kicking in the womb at 8.5 months, maybe we shouldn't be able to terminate that. Considering there are places now that are considering being able to terminate a baby after. Maybe we need to assess our strategies and maybe look for some.
I think I know why that one didn't pass. I actually think I know why that one didn't pass. The language of it essentially established when life begins.
But the point is, the point is that that's being even considered should tell you something about your strategy.
And so this is like, I don't know. I see there's some people who are like, oh, the Supreme Court justices are in on it and they wanted Republicans to fail. And I'm like, you guys, it was going to happen eventually. If you wanted Roe versus Wade overturned, there was going to be at least one set of elections where everybody was basically going to lose because it was a referendum on abortion. It just was. I love this.
In the comments,
This comment by William, I think, is perfect. He said, the 3 falsehoods that Dems basically pushed on people, and one of them was really getting the single women out to vote about abortion. I think it was 68% of single women voted Democrat across the country. So that tells you that people have made indiscriminate promiscuous sex their priority. And that is just what it's going to be. And they're going to make it a thing. And it's fine. Here's the thing. I'm for it. Let's have the conversation. I love it. We should be talking about when life begins. What does that mean? What is the definition? Where do we value life in this country? I think it's awesome. I'm willing to lose one election cycle.
That's part of the issue. That isn't the conversation or the debate.
Oh, tell me what.
You don't want to make this whole thing about obviously abortion, but life begins. It's already life. You're not talking about whether or not it's life. It's a conversation of whether or not it's conscious and deserving of human protection and things like that. And if
when does it?
That is that. I want to drive this home. That is the conversation. It is not whether or not it is life, because by any other standard and definition of the word life, we would think the
cell division indicates life.
Yeah, at least when the zygote situation starts to develop, we're already at life. It's alive. It's when do you think it is worthy of personhood and protection?
Yeah. When does it get the same protection under the Constitution as a born person.
That is a realistic conversation to be had. So again, as
And I'm up for it.
pro-life people,
Let's do it.
but the point is, again, as pro-life people, we need to be very clear. We are no longer talking about whether or not it's when life begins. It is, when is it worthy of protection? And that is a conversation that people are clearly not settled on in the United States of America. And until we're settled on it, this is going to continue to be a raging issue.
And I love it. In a previous episode of Generally Irritable, they say, oh, it's just a clump of cells. And I said, yeah, so am I. I'm a grown ass person. I'm also just a clump of cells. And somebody got me a t-shirt that says clump of cells on it from Live Action. It's really funny. But this is the thing is they're using euphemisms and propaganda to sell these narratives to people. And it's really ugly. And so let's talk about something positive. We're talking about how stupid everything is, but that understanding is what sort of brings us around to why I started Generally Irritable in the first place, which is to be an alternative media source, a place where we can come and have these conversations that they're not having on WCAX and NBC and Fox and whatever else. WCAX, as far as I know, never had an in-depth conversation about the clause in Article 22 where it says you can have bodily autonomy except when state interest is concerned.
Is that part of Morningstar Report has got a comment up there?
What's that?
Did you see it?
No, where are you looking?
I'll put it up here. I'm pro-choice and voted no to 5. It's because they are indoctrinated and do not know the meaning of legal documents, let alone laws or change to our Constitution.
Well, and that's the thing. Is it's like when you have a legislature where the people who wrote the bill tell you that they intentionally wrote it vague so that it could be worked out in the courts. So when people like Becca Balint tell you that 5 judges should decide what these words mean rather than the legislature, something is wrong. They did this in such a way so as to make it weird and confusing.
This is hilarious. Definition of legislator: a person who makes laws. So literally, you have the people whose job it is to make the laws trying to get out of doing their job.
Correct, because they know.
Wait, but the follow-up to that is the example is, in quotes, statutes went unread by the legislators who passed them. That's somebody has a sense of humor in the dictionary. That
might be a thing. Well, here's the thing. That's why I'm wearing my Clown World shirt. So this is what is this, number 3? My podcaster number 3 that I'm highlighting today. Just some of the places where I go and I like to watch and get information from. Clown World is from Don't Walk Run Productions. And that's Andrew. Great podcast. Don't Walk Run on YouTube.
Pretty good info.
Very good information. And he does it in like a funny, lighthearted way. So it's not so like, very well researched. You actually really learn stuff. And that's what's so funny. Like we get better researched information from comedians and YouTubers than we do from the news.
Sad. There is no. Well, I had a recent debate with my friend. He's like, there is no news. He said, you always use the word news, and that fake news is, but there is no news. There's just media, and it's not the same. He's like, of a 24-hour cycle, there's about 15 minutes of news.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate. The other podcaster that I mentioned at the beginning with the slurping sound is Steven Crowder, or Louder with Crowder. I'm apparently one of the only 5 women who watch this podcast. So yeah, that was the sipping sound. He starts his show because he's got Mug Club, right? Where you get a mug if you join as a member. And he starts every episode like this.
You got to move the merch, right? You got to pay the bills.
So,
especially when you get demonetized, you got to find other ways to pay.
I'm telling you what. So,
Oh, so here's the thing. I found the lyrics to that song because we were talking about values. It's
uh,
Belief by John Mayer. And the lyrics go, is there anyone who ever remembers changing their mind from the paint on a sign? Is there anyone who really recalls ever breaking rank at all for something someone yelled real loud one time? Oh, everyone believes in how they think it ought to be. And oh, everyone believes and they're not going easily. Belief is a beautiful armor, but makes for the heaviest sword. Like punching underwater, you never can hit who you're trying for. Some need the exhibition, and some have to know they tried. It's the chemical weapon for the war that's raging on inside. If you think about what he is saying, that is,
pretty heavy.
but that's it. Some people have to fight the good fight. They don't care about strategy and winning. It's just about saying that they fought it. And it's like, well, okay, that's great. You hit never can hit who you're trying for. You're fighting against oppressive status and you're beating up your own people on
Yeah.
your own team. And if ever remember breaking rank at all for something someone yelled real loud one time, yelling and calling people names very rarely changes somebody's
Very
opinion.
rarely. Very rarely.
John Mayer, folks.
That's really interesting. That's got me kind of thinking about some different stuff. And it's really like, you know, the Democrats are a problem. Liam Madden was a problem. The media is a problem. But it was also the fact that Republicans and people who are right of center really did not want to participate. You know, when people don't donate, when people don't volunteer, when people want to be nice and not pick sides before the primary, you know, unfortunately, what happens is Republicans leave their candidates high and dry. And it's a big part of the reason why it's hard to recruit candidates.
Yep.
They know, and experience has shown that Republicans, libertarians, and independents who are right of center will not show up to help. And then they're surprised and they're confused why progressives and crazy leftists win our elections.
That's kind of funny.
It's very frustrating.
It's like I had all the people when we say like, yeah, we're gays in politics. Like, why? I would never do that. And it's like, yeah, I can understand
For real.
why, because people don't understand that you're taking money out of your pocket, food out of your family's mouth to invest time and energy into doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, you're like, well, we're thankful for people like y'all that are in the chat that jump on here and talk with us, because realistically, like the vast majority of people don't engage.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it's hard to keep that energy going.
Yeah.
Under the circumstances. I mean, it's worth it, but it is difficult.
Yeah. Well, and that's what, you know, I want to take a minute and just make sure I give a shout out to, babe, you're going to have to help me. Barb, if you're still watching, you're going to have to help me make sure I remember everybody to really take a moment to say thank you to. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to Patty Myers. I mean, obviously you, honey, Benjamin, my mom was super supportive. She did all of my dishes this summer while she was here. I swear to God, she did. I don't think I did dishes for like 3 months. So you guys, obviously, I love you. You've done a ton. I mean, Benjamin, if you guys knew how much video editing and shooting and organizing and social media stuff Benjamin did for me, I mean, I couldn't have done it without Benjamin, or I certainly wouldn't have had as much of a presence as I did. And even with that, I still have tons of footage and photographs and videos that haven't been edited and published yet because we just had so much and not enough help. But Patty Myers, you know, she really was my rock through this whole thing. She drove me around the state. She showed up for me. She helped with administrative stuff. She led our prayer team. And whenever I was upset or freaking out, I could call her and she would pray for me. I remember It was perfect timing on our way to the WCAX primary debate. I was very emotional that day. And I called Patty. I was like, I need prayer. I'm calling Patty. And Patty, it was perfect. It was with Barb, and they read scripture and prayed for me. And Barb Grech, who's in the chat today, helped with the thank you cards. She designed and painted the statues for one of our floats. She made the bookmarks that we got to hand out to veterans to say thank you.
We had
Barb,
the most boss floats ever.
oh my God, Ray Ingram. What, I mean, he got he made a float that rotated with the statues that Barb made. Okay. Like these are freaking epic.
Yeah.
And he took took the time to make sure, flags are in the right place and that we're being respectful to our veterans and our military. A veteran himself, my very first volunteer for my very first campaign, Ray Ingram. I love you, Ray Ingram. Oh my God, you guys, I love our volunteers. What's that, honey?
You rode a horse in a parade.
Oh my God, Jim Bilodeau. What? I got to ride Cinnamon in a freaking parade. I can't believe he let me ride his horse.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Oh my God. Okay. Elizabeth Miller. She did a bunch of the painting and design on our first float, the Maple Festival float. Olga Mardock and the Libertarians. Annie. Oh my God. And wow. I can't, Lepeltier. Like some of these people, I'm picturing their Facebook names and I'm screwing up their actual names because they have different names on Facebook. These ladies helped a lot out in the beginning with the Maple Fest parade. They made costumes. They helped decorate the float. They brought their kids. All these folks who came and marched with us.
Yep.
What's that?
Brian.
Oh my God, Brian Wheel and Travis Jones. Brian is my IT man. He helped run my website. Travis helped with the website too. Brian is this like IT mastermind. He's probably going to be mad for like telling everybody. Don't call him and ask him for anything because I'm going to be keeping him busy. But just awesome and would like figure stuff out and research things. We wanted to try to use this fancy stuff. It ended up not working out, but he invested so much time and energy, converted from my GoDaddy website to WordPress and just did a ton of work.
Is there anything we're not supposed to mention? I know we got a bunch of sign help purchased.
Oh yeah. People showing up for sine waves and stuff. Kathleen Dwinnell and Suzanne Crum. I think if I recall correctly, neither of them had ever volunteered or worked on a campaign before. And they both just said, you know what? I'm tired of my vote not mattering and my voice not mattering. I'm going to step up. I'm going to do something. Those ladies just really stepped up with sine waves. And Suzanne even made her own sign and stuck it on her car. It was awesome. I love it. There was the gal. Oh my God, her name is escaping me, who helped with some graphic design stuff. She's down in Plymouth. Oh my God, her name is escaping me right now.
Didn't somebody buy some signs for you for a bunch of people? Just a bunch of them? Had some volunteers do that, right?
Yes, I think that was, yes. The Supples bought signs and, or helped contribute with signs. Tom Licata contributed a lot to the campaign, especially early on. He's awesome.
Ben Luna was one of your first endorsements.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Ben Luna was one of my first endorsements. Great guest on the show too. Great lawyer here in Burlington. He sued the city of Burlington over the charter change stuff from 2020. And that is going to be one of the stories we want to highlight when we highlight the corruption of the Supreme Court here in Vermont. That was one of the 3 cases that I know of off the top of my head where the Supreme Court said, yeah, Burlington broke the law, but whatevs. I'm barely exaggerating, you guys. I'm probably forgetting somebody big and they're going to be mad at me. Janet Metz was a great help in getting things organized. And, she gave me like, here's a money box and here's things you need to be thinking about at events. She gave me bowls to hold candy in and candy to put in them.
Yeah, you had a couple. Was it the two pastors, I believe?
Oh, yeah, Ralph and Phil, who, were another set of spiritual support for me. I don't know if Phil's technically a pastor, but Ralph is, at Hunger Mountain Christian Academy.
Mm.
So they just were really trying to help me get tied into, the faith community and checking in on me, praying for me, helping make sure that when my pride and my ego were starting to get the better of me, that I was like getting back in touch with Jesus. Um, and I really think you guys, I got to tell you, putting Jesus at the center of this campaign worked. It worked. And what I mean by that is it kept me on the right track. It helped me remember what my focus and what my purpose is. It made sure that I was thinking about you guys first and not myself. But also the love and heart of Jesus Christ, that mercy came through in our communications. We have we have had people come to Jesus because of the campaigns, okay? Like because of the work we're doing in politics, people are literally going to church again and
Mm.
and seeking God. Okay? We had progressives and Democrats, socialists vote for us because vote for me. To me, it's like I say us because it really is. It was a group effort. This was a campaign that we all contributed to.
Yeah.
And everyone saw how much we loved each other. And that it says it in the Bible. I'm going to get emotional. They will, what is it? How does it go, baby? They will know me by the way that you treat each other. How does that
Yes.
scripture go?
I don't remember how the exact wording, but yes.
And so, because we're out here caring about each other, caring about Vermonters, and demonstrating the heart of God for this place, it came through. And people understood. And that is not to say that people just really understood that this was about them. This was about us. And it wasn't about me. And I'm not just out here trying to get elected because it's like fun. Because it's not. I mean, there was some fun stuff about it, but like,
So it's John 13, 34 and 5. A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you also must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another.
and so for folks who consider themselves people of faith and you're right of center, if we as Christians can't get together and care about one another and work together and strategize and be reasonable, if it's some Christians running around talking smack about me and whatever, like you guys, we have the answer. We found the answer.
Well, there's
When Democrats and progressives are willing to vote for a Republican, that's the solution.
Well, it's like you said. I think one of the guys was talking today and said, the other team is a dragon. The left is a dragon. He's at the right is a hydra. But it's not even just a hydra, because if you think about a hydra, it's still on the same team. The hydra in mythology has many heads, but they're all attacking their opponents. The hydra of conservatism attacks itself. And here's the thing. And when you do that, do you think people from the outside, who a lot of them are just looking for a place to belong, you think they want to join a house that's full of strife and fighting?
Absolutely not.
Or do they want to join something that's more a well-oiled machine where the team is operating, being successful, and has a strategy?
Right.
Either that, or you're going to just fall back and say, like a lot of people, I don't want to be involved.
Right.
So,
and I remember this was really important, and you helped really shape this reminder for me. When I first came into the Republican Party, the Libertarian Party, when I started getting back into politics, I still considered myself pro-choice, right? And when I first got saved, I still considered myself pro-choice. I have I have a lot of history with Planned Parenthood in my family for a lot of reasons. And so if the people in my church had been like, "You are you're a baby killer," ah! And they were all this like, and there was all this like gross ugliness, I wouldn't have stayed. I don't want to be on a team of people who talk like that. And moreover, I probably would have held on to my beliefs longer out of principle. Like, you're just being a butthole to me, which makes me think that maybe I need to hold on to these.
Yeah.
Like, if you're being, anyway, I'm digressing a little bit. Okay, Barb says Pastor Todd and Jane Straczynski. Yes, Jane and Chris Bear up the street from me, folks, helped with decorations and stuff for the float. And I think Jane herself cut out like 150 stars for the 4th of July parade. She is awesome. And she was even in one of the parades.
That's cool.
Thank you, Barb. Yes. See, I told you I was going to forget. I'm trying to remember all the stuff that
somebody else. Who was it? Who was the gentleman who rode on one of our floats? I can't remember his name.
Oh, Greg Robbins came and he was in on one of the floats with us.
Yep.
And oh my God, we did a bunch of stuff. A lot of great Republican leadership. Carol Buchanan, Randy Gray, Teresa Burke in Rutland. Oh my God, you guys. Terry Burke is awesome. Wendy Wilton. Wendy was so awesome. I totally didn't want to do it. She made me go to this event where it was some like, beer and it was like festival or something. And she's like, "We're going to go and I'm going to walk around. I'm going to introduce you to people." And I was like, "I don't want to." And and she was like, "Do you want to win?" She was not having me being whiny at all. She was like, "We're going to do this. You'll be fine." She just was like, "You'll be fine. Shut up." And it was great. She started introducing me. It was totally fine.
Wait, why am I drawing a blank on his name? James. Did James set up the didn't he set up the studio we got to shoot in?
Oh my God, James Cross. Yes. So he was my Franklin County person. Him and his daughter Camilla were putting up stickers and spreading the word for me up in Franklin County. Yeah. And they were in a couple of the parades and yeah, they were awesome. And James got us a studio session. That was where we shot the satirical commercials. Yes, that was really fun.
Those are a lot of fun.
Yep. Oh my God, who else am I? Somebody's going to be so mad.
I'm gonna let you think about it, but I'll drop something by doing that.
John Marcotte let me borrow his leaf blower a bunch so we could have the cannon shooting stuff out of it. John and Williston. I'm sorry, what, honey? I totally interrupted.
I was saying one thing is while you're thinking of more people to think, one thing that was really cool, people got to say that's awesome, but also a lot of people re-engage with politics. Like we had people like Happy who said, "I've never had testimony. Like, I haven't voted for a candidate, not registered to vote," and so he got registered in order to vote for Erica, which was awesome. And so,
I know of at least 3 people that we got registered to vote who voted for me who'd never voted ever in their life before.
Yeah. And, the work we do with the campaigns and running and also with everything with Junior Irritable, like that's the point, is to create an engaged and informed electorate. Like, so, because we believe that if you understand the facts and the truth, that there's going to be a lot of things you're going to have to vote with us on. If you just understand numbers and a little bit of human nature, like like as a conservative person, there are certain things we may, people might land in different directions. But when you start talking about like finances and things of that nature and the simple stuff, I don't know how you can land in a different place than where we land when it comes to money, because
Hold on,
science.
baby, hold on. Speaking of landing, I'm gonna let you talk to these folks for a couple minutes because I need to run for a couple minutes.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna put you in charge.
Sure, great. So, welcome to the Generally Irritable Show with Lord Benjamin Nathaniel Reddick II. I'm your humble host while Erica's doing something in the background. Feel free to throw some more questions in the chat. I'll throw those up as well. If I can answer them, I will. If not, we'll wait till the leading lady gets back. But what I was saying is that I had one for y'all, juniors. Okay, let me throw this. I had one for y'all for your junior shopping bag. Helen was brilliant, giving out constitutions. That is awesome, and I love it. Elderly folks I work with voted this year, especially with medical stuff. Gotcha. That is awesome. That is amazing. I love the idea of the Constitution in general. A lot of people complain about that, but I'm like, if you make a contract with people and then you just start breaking the contract left and right, like, what are we doing? You are instilling fear in the nation, right? So you can't make a constitution. Everyone's taught to live by that, operate by those set of rules. And this is what winning and losing looks like under these parameters. And then people want to jump in here and shred that and just do something new. Like, that does not inspire faith or confidence in your people. And it just inspires terror and horror, actually. Our contributors, yes, correct, Barb. Everyone who likes, shares these videos, the fact that you people even come in here and engage with us, that matters. Engagement on social media platforms matters more than you can even possibly understand. This is one of the main things we're trying to get going. So we thank you all for that. Everyone who gave, even I don't care if it was $1, like, that matters. You know, when you're out here in the wild, trying to make real change for people, and you can't really gauge if it's being received, if it's being appreciated. It doesn't matter if it's $1, if it's $5, if it's $10, if it's a like, share, comment. All of it matters. All of it matters. So thank you so much. You people are the reason we continue to do what we're doing. Yeah. And the more engagement, the more support we get, the more and the bigger we can do these things, the more people we can bring in and involve to give you guys a better product and give you better information and more entertaining product. So thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Morningstar, I don't know if you covered this already. She said, I had one. You did. Yeah. I loved giving out the constitutions. You looked awesome, Morningstar, in the parade, for the record. You looked freaking awesome. Your costume, your makeup was so good. Yeah. Miriam Barry. Miriam Barry came out in the parade. She also was praying for me and checking in on me occasionally. She gathered signatures for my petition. She donated, invited me over to her home group Bible study prayer time, which was awesome. Michael Kell invited me to his church. Sorry, go ahead.
Is there anybody we're not allowed to name? I know there is a couple who, helped you out quite a bit in the second half of the deal.
Right. And
I don't know we can say or not.
I don't think.
If you're not sure, then don't say anything. Just say, hey, you know what? You know who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Thank you.
There were some folks who and you guys, I'm not trying to be sly or creepy or anything like that. It's just that being a Libertarian Party candidate made it challenging for some people to be able to support me and endorse me. So when you had folks like Jay Shepard and Suzanne Butterfield, who are the RNC National Committee man and committee woman, for them to endorse me was a really big deal. And in normal circumstances, a really big no-no. Mm-hmm. And so anything that they did to help was just a huge deal. And any of the Republican committee chairs like Terry and Randy, who were very vocal in support of me. In theory, those are offenses that you can get in trouble for from party rules. But, everybody understood that this is not a normal time. And so there were some folks who are Republicans who have leadership roles who felt like they wanted to help, but couldn't be super vocal about it out of concern for their reputation, to be frank. I mean, that's just real talk. And so, but I do know that there were advocates for me helping basically communicate with their own distribution lists. So, I didn't have my own lists of, tons of donors, and I didn't buy any lists, email lists, or anything like that. There were people just emailing their own lists on our behalf, saying, Liam is not really a Republican. And there's a whole other thing that goes on behind that. A bunch of those emails didn't get through because of the changes to Google. And if there were certain words, things were getting restricted and going straight to spam. That's a whole other conversation that we will not get into today. But anybody who has some IT experience, who wants to help with our newsletter, who can help us figure out, I want somebody who's dedicated to helping figure out how to get around the censors. So whether it is, somebody to help research like how we need to moderate on certain social media platforms so our things don't get throttled as far as organic reach goes. But then also, just how we can get around some of these censorship mechanisms, like in email. Like if we can't just like email people and it's our people and they're our email lists, why we can't get our emails to them? Anyway, that is going to be a role I'll be looking for somebody to have help with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Barb and everyone who contributed financially to the campaign, like big thank you to everybody who donated. I don't care if you donated $5 or $1,000. Big, huge thank you to everyone who was willing to put their money where their mouth was.
Correct.
Especially after the primary with the absolute boondoggle, people who donated after the primary, those are people who are principled. You know what I mean? These are people who are saying, I am so much for the truth and the principle and the fight that I'm willing to help you in this fight, even though it is stupid and we have no idea what's going to happen.
Yep.
I mean, that's amazing. And I'm so, so grateful. And we have enough money to close out the campaign without being in debt, which is awesome. So basically at the end of the next month or so, as the final bills come in, my final treasurer's bill, my final, the website hosting and all that other stuff, we're going to basically be at zero, which is where you want to be at the end of a campaign. So that's awesome.
That's awesome.
That is really, really cool. Should we show them the Liberal Hive Mind video? I was going to show them the reporting on the FTX. Should we do that, or do you think we should just close it up for the night?
How long is that video?
I figured it's a couple minutes. The whole video, I won't play the whole video. It's 10 minutes, but the couple of portions were like a minute here and a minute there.
I mean, if you can do it pretty.
I don't know. I think, you know what, you guys, here's the deal. I think I'm going to do a separate video where I'm going to report on the FTX stuff, the crypto garbage, the fraud that supported Becca. Oh my God. Both of them. Oh my God. That makes me see, you guys, this is when I know both of my opponents got elected or got to where they did with fraudulent money. And that is hysterical to me. That is extra hysterical to me for anybody who actually knows me and knows my history. The fact that I am the candidate with the most integrity in the race, it's really funny. I'm just saying. Anyway, Okay, what do we want to get to wrap up tonight? We've been on here for
I
almost
don't
90
know. I
minutes,
think that
baby.
was it. Then we got to the.
What are we missing?
I think that was all that needed to be answered. All
Oh,
questions.
you know what? I want to make sure we end on a positive note.
Mhm.
Um, I am, even with all of the bull crap, you guys, even with the fraud and the lying and the cheating and the nonsense and all of it, I believe now more than ever that we can win this state. That Republicans and libertarians can win in this state. We absolutely 100,000% can win these seats. We can, and that may be hard for people to believe, considering everything that just happened with redistricting. Um, some of our strong Republicans lost their seats
Mm.
in the redistricting, and we knew that the way that they redistricted was intentional. It was on purpose. The legislature rejected the map chosen by the committee, the bipartisan committee. Their recommendation was thrown out, and the legislature voted on the least favorable of the redistricting maps. And so, you guys, we just guerrilla warfare. This is what this is. We gotta fight smarter.
Also, nonstop. I mean, this doesn't. You can't. Okay. There's so many
Yes.
things about how the parties elect. Candidates are coming in. You can't come in 6 months before
Yeah.
the deal. If you're
Yep.
going to run, if you're thinking about running, you need to be getting your name recognition and all that stuff up
Now,
now. Like
years
you
in
can't start.
advance.
You need money. You need a team. You need resources. You need name recognition. You cannot start 6 months in because, as you saw, Becca had like $1 million a moment after she announced. You have to be working for a counter strategy for that way ahead of time.
And that's what, and here's the thing, she didn't have $1 million right after she announced. She did what any good, intelligent person who does crowdfunding does. They start out ahead of time, they line
Yeah,
up a bunch of donors,
so
and
correct.
they say, we're going to announce on this day, right? But this is the thing, but this is what you're talking about, strategy.
Yes.
Those donors were lined up months ahead of time and told to everybody donate on this one day to make this huge splash,
Yep.
right? We have to fight smarter, not harder,
Yeah.
smarter.
And you have to be more unified. If you have less people and you have less resources, you can't be less unified and organized than your opponents. Like you don't have you need an advantage. And here's the thing, as long as you don't have an advantage, you are waiting for your opponent to slip up to have a chance. That's weak. That is not aggressive. That is not offensive. That is not a territory taker. I wasn't taught to do business that way. I'm not
Correct.
waiting for you to slip up. I'm creating opportunities. You have to be a playmaker.
Well, and that's why we're not waiting. We're going to start getting to work outside of the party platform, because, or the not platform, because that means something, but the
Apparatus.
party apparatus. They only reorganize about 5 minutes before the election. And when I tried to get people going last year, we need to start campaigns, people need to be getting active for next year, everybody was like, no, I don't think so. We're not going to do that. So right now, everybody's been asking me, what are you going to do moving forward? Are you going to run for something else? What are you going to do? Here's what I do know. For the next week or two, I'm going to pray a lot, and I'm going to have some quiet time. And Benjamin and I are going to sit down and we're going to talk and we're going to strategize and we're going to make some decisions. So what am I going to do next? I don't have any idea, other than grow generally irritable to make sure that the truth is getting out there.
Yes.
That's the only thing I know for sure.
I have a level of vindictive streak in reference to the media in Vermont now. So
Oh, it's on. They have awakened the competitive spirit.
yes.
And so that's going to be a thing. The other thing that we're going to be doing is helping people get started now
Yep.
for races. If you're thinking about running for school board or city council or your, town assembly or whatever it's called in your town, you're already late. So if you're thinking about it, give me a call, generallyirritable@gmail.com. You can email me generallyirritable@gmail.com. and I will help you get connected to some people in your town, in your area, who can help canvas with you and work with you. We will help give you some coaching on how to record videos of yourself and do social media. We can direct you in some areas. We need to start getting this stuff done now. If you would be interested in running for a House race here for Vermont House or Vermont Senate, we need to start having that conversation now. You need to start building name recognition. You need to be involved in your community where people know who you are. I need people to be looking around at the people that they work with, that they do business with, that they play with, that you do life with, that you respect, that you would want to have as your legislator or your city councilor or whatever. And I want you to talk to those people about whether or not they might be willing to run. Start putting the seed, planting the seed in people that you think are competent enough to help lead your city or your town. And let's get this going. The reality is this stuff takes years and time to cultivate.
Mhm.
And so because we're playing from so far behind, one of the things that we're going to be really looking to do is finding the areas of Vermont that are vulnerable. So where, if the Democrat won, but only by a small margin, or areas where they were uncontested and had low voter turnout, we're going to be looking for targeted areas where we can win. And instead of this just throwing mud at the wall and throwing people in every single race and on every single ballot, we're going to actually look for competent, qualified candidates in areas where we can win. So that's on you guys, right? Okay, I only know so many people. I'm counting on you guys to give them my information. Have them contact me, generallyirritable@gmail.com, because this is the thing. We're going to call it, instead of the red wave, we're going to call it the red marathon. Right? Like, this is what people always say, life is a marathon and not a sprint.
Yeah.
Saving our institutions is a marathon and not a sprint. It's a generational task. And we have to look at this in the long term and in the long run.
Yep, because that is what your opponents are doing.
How do we influence the culture? How do we take back the institutions? If we continue to retreat from public life as conservatives and libertarians, if we continue to just say, well, I'm just not going to participate anymore, well, it doesn't change anything.
Wait. If you're a conservative or a libertarian, you do that, understand that is a vote for the other side. You're not stopping anything. You're not fighting anything. Your protest not vote is a vote for the other. It is literally a vote for the other side. Most people I know who say that they're not going to participate or engage are on our side. They're right of center. So everybody who says that, just about, you're voting for all the policies that you say you don't like. And if you're going to do that, you do not have the right to complain later, because it's your fault.
Amen. But I love it, you guys. I mean, I don't want to be all gloom and doom. I really don't. I don't want to be all gloom and doom, you guys. This is fun. We got to look at this.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. We can sit over here and feel all like, I get it. I have been wanting to wallow in self-pity this whole week. Okay. I've been like dipping my toe in to the self-pity pool and being like, oh, it's so warm and it's so cozy and comfortable. Oh, it's such a nice, right? It just doesn't work and it's not useful. And so I'm just having to remember, right? Like, I'm doing God's work. This is not about me. This is about my community. This is the long game, and I'm playing the long game. And that's ultimately the way I'm kind of trying to reframe this in my mind is as a competition, maybe not as a game, but as a competition, a spirited competition where I am trying to win goals, to get goals, or like win souls, win people over to conservatism or into self-governance. And if I can think of it that way, like I win no matter what. I crushed this. If I look at this last year.
Camera cut out.
Oh, you know what? It's because I packed my my plug, my extended, so my battery just died.
We'll finish with that. We're almost done anyways.
I don't even remember what I was saying.
If you look
but
at
if I look at this last year like that as a game, then I win every single time, and I crushed it. I killed it. I nailed it.
It's just data. And yeah, when we talk about personal responsibility, we're talking about that's not negative, that's positive. If you know that you have agency in the fight, then you can fix whatever moves you're making and you can get around to it. I mean, it's not that is the way that this is done. And so that's the way we choose to look at it. So when I say it's your fault, it's like I'm trying to tell you, get off the bench and play, because no matter what, you are going to play a role in this, either for the side that you believe in or the side that you don't. And if you're on our side and you don't vote, you're playing for the side you don't believe in. You're just on their team right now. Get off the bench. There is hope.
And you guys, you gotta, okay, I'm sorry. I should let it just lie there. I should just let it lie there.
Okay, let it lie there.
I'm gonna let it lie there. And then I'll put in the comment the smack talk I use for people. This is my webcam. This is just my regular webcam instead of my camera.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a great way to end it, to wrap it up, Benjamin. I love you. You're awesome. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, everybody, for watching, for joining us this evening. Thank you for everything that you've done. Thank you for your votes. Thank you for your time, your attention, your eyes. Thank you for sharing this media. Thank you for caring about your neighbors enough to be involved.
Yep.
All right. Love you guys. Good night. Ooh, we're going to go out on the commercial.